Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. This is Texas Desert Rose here, and thank you for joining me once again. And in case you have not determined this, my mission statement is fastly becoming exposure. Exposing the other sides of things for people, for those of you who are interested to hear and see the other side of life, different parts of life. I think today we're very, very quick to judge, black and white judgments, and to be harsh on each other without really truly wanting to understand why, okay? The motivations. So when I bring these different topics today, I think you'll find it very interesting, the topic as well. It is to help you to understand, even if you could still judge it, even if you still don't agree, it's to see that we as human beings do what we do for a reason. Anytime you repeat a behavior more than once, there is a win. There is a payoff. That is very behavioral in the description, but it is a truth. So, what I want to do today is to present, introduce you to a gentleman who has kindly agreed to come on and tell about his life. And the tendency, the temptation out there is going to be to judge what he does, but I want you to at least consider hearing his story and trying to see the world from his viewpoint. So, Mario, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, Tammy. Thank you for having me here in your show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And you want to tell the audience what your story is. You don't have to go through the whole thing. I'll help you through it. But what is the main reason that you decided to do this expose with Texas Desert Rose today?
Well, one of the main reasons was to help out everyone that is probably in the same situation that I'm in.
Okay.
It could be the male side or it could be on the female side to try to understand both sides of the story.
What is your story?
I'm a Hispanic male, 35 years old, and I was raised in a very Catholic background. I've been in elementary Catholic schools, and after that, I switched to all-boys schools, and my current story right now is that I'm married, and I have an affair, and I have a girlfriend for 4 years now.
Really? So not even a short-time situation, a long-term one.
Yes, it's 10 years of marriage and 4 years with my girlfriend.
Okay, so 4 years. Okay, and do you have children?
I do. I have 3 kids.
3 kids. Okay, and so first, tell us a little bit more of. You said you've been with your wife for 10 years, and you guys met how?
We actually met in high school. So she was attending a mixed private school, and I was in a all-boys school, and we met there.
Okay. And what role does religion play in your life or in y'all's life today?
Religion is very big. I'm Catholic, but I would say that she is more 100% Catholic than I am. Her private school was Catholic all the way from elementary school all the way to high school, and her parents were like very involved in church, and she was as well. So religion plays a big role in our lives.
Okay. So if you've been married 10 years and you met this person 4 years ago, that means you were married 6 years. Do you have any insight into, there's women all over the place But why 4 years ago was there this draw or this trigger to have someone else enter into your life?
I met this person at work, and I had a short talk with her. At least I felt like it was a short talk, but it was probably like 30 minutes. We met at work, and I felt very connected to her the first time we talked. And I asked a coworker for more information about her and her email, phone number, and Facebook and all that. And that's how everything started. It started more like a really deep verbal connection.
So what you feel is the difference was that when you talked to her specifically, there was what you say is you connected to her after that conversation and you wanted to talk to her more. Did you know at the time what your intention was?
I did not know. Definitely to know her more. Definitely. I had to.
Do you feel like she felt the same thing?
I really don't know for sure, but I hope that she did. It was very good. It was a very deep verbal connection that we had. I felt like I knew her from the past. If we had lived before in other lives, I believe that I met her before.
Interesting. So are you willing to say, as I will ask some, very intense questions, and it's up to you whether you answer them or not, okay? But I'm assuming that if you're coming on, you're willing to be vulnerable to some extent with this, protecting the names of the innocent, of course. What was it at 6 years that at home do you think may have made you more likely to want to have this connection with another person outside of your marriage?
So at first our marriage was, I think it was like any other marriage. It was fine. Our conversations were fine. Emotionally, everything was met. Physically, everything was met. But after our first kid, I would say during pregnancy, everything started to switch. With the first child, the sex was not the same. Towards the end, the last trimester, I felt that I needed to stay away from her. I didn't want to have sex with her. She wanted to have sex, but I didn't want to. I felt like I was going to hurt the baby. It was not there. After delivery, sex was back. Not as much as before, but it was there. Our conversations were a little less, and it just was slowly started going less and less and less. Conversations, emotionally touching, and of course, sex. Yes.
So you're saying that when she was pregnant, it's quite common that the man, even when he knows and is told by the doctor differently, really struggles psychologically for fear of hurting the baby with sex. But the actual, it's typically not the case, and but it's just kind of a buzzkill, I guess you could say. So that was more on your part. Did it continue to be you pulling away from her sexually, or as it waxed and waned, the intimacy, was it you, her, or both?
So after delivery switched, my sex drive came back. And then hers, it felt like whenever she was breastfeeding the baby, her needs were met with feeding the baby, and so her sex drive kind of slowed down. So we started having sex, I would say, once every 2 weeks. And then...
What was it before she got pregnant?
It was like every day.
Okay.
Every time, anytime we can, we were on it. So after the third month that she was breastfeeding, it kind of went from every 2 weeks to once a month, and I thought it was going to get better, but it stayed that way. Sometimes I was getting lucky, and I was getting probably, twice a month, but most of the time it was once a month.
So you're saying that after the birth of the baby, it was more her pulling away because her needs were being met by breastfeeding, which is also very common as well.
Yes. So I thought when the baby was going to get bigger, it was going to be better. The baby was already 4 years old, and things were not changing. Things were the same. And then she got pregnant again, and it was very difficult because the story repeated itself. And then third baby came along, and same story again. And then now I have sex once every 3 months when I have sex. Not to mention our talks are more different. We're not more connecting with each other, and it's more about life events. And I understand completely about that, but I feel like I'm being left out.
You feel left out from what?
From her side. Like, her needs are met. She knows my sex drive is high. So she has asked me, how am I dealing with it? And I said, well, I'll take care of myself. Anytime I can, I masturbate it. Or, so I do what I have to do in order to take care of myself. And I guess those 6 years that we were in that relationship or in marriage, that's when I met my coworker, and she kind of brought the spark back, and I started getting to know her more. And then the first time we had sex, it was amazing. It was really good.
Well, typically it's the first several times is going to be pretty off the charts because that's when the dopamine is going off in the brain. That's why they call it the honeymoon phase, Obviously, 4 years. Are you guys still going pretty strong, having sex very often? Have you experienced the same waxing and waning of the physical intimacy with her as well?
Well, thank you for asking that. It's very funny. Right now, with the pandemic going on, she lives in Canada, and it's very hard for us to see each other. So we haven't seen each other for 2 years.
Wow.
So in 2 years, yes, we only have, Skype time, telephone conversations, FaceTime. We do videos here and there, and that's been it. So for 2 years, we haven't had sex, but our emotions are being met by other means of communication.
So what I'm getting is that at home, you're having sex about every 3 months, and you're getting your emotional, obviously through communication, needs met with the other woman. And other than masturbation, how do you have your physical needs met, or is there anybody else?
No, there's nobody else. I feel so connected to my girlfriend that I can't have anybody else. No.
Meaning you would, if the connection was there at home, there probably never would have been another person.
You probably would not, correct.
So, how is the every 3 months at home? Like when it does happen, and you're saying not really any communication other than which is what life does when you get children and just trying to survive and make sure the groceries are bought and the diapers and the formula and all that stuff. It takes up a lot of space. If more time is not carved out to communicate, it goes away very fast. Is that your experience?
It is, yes. At home or sex, when I have it, is not as strong as with my girlfriend. With my girlfriend,